Only God can judge me. That right? Only God, baby. Nobody else. Nobody else. All you other motherfuckers, get out of my business. Really?
What's going on, KTF family? You already know what it is. If you don't, it's your boy Preston, aka Press, aka P. You already know. You gotta break it down and hold it. Back with another reaction video. And today reacting to ups and downs from WrestleMania 35, bro. I hope y'all enjoyed WrestleMania. I know I did, man. Watching WrestleMania 35, I'm gonna be real. It made me feel like a kid again, bro. I really did enjoy it, bro. And I know y'all requested me to watch or react to ups and downs from What Culture Wrestling. So without further ado, let's get to this shit, bro. See what they talking about.
Hello, What Culture Wrestling. My name is Simon Mann, and I stand here in front of a camera with my hood up and my face burned. You may be able to see, I don't know. We're outside MetLife Stadium, or the MetLife Center, as somebody said, and we're going to get to him. And it's time to talk to you about WrestleMania 35. It's in the books. We had a big conversation about this in the build-up to the event. It was 7.5 hours long, including the pre-show. But I'm going to give a preemptive up, so it won't go on the scorecards. I'm just going to say it. Fair play to WWE for taking a 7.5 hour show. It wasn't perfect. There are some things we're going to get into, but they paced it out damn well. And I think we all...
They stretched out WrestleMania so good to the point where I wasn't even trying to fall asleep. You know what I'm saying? Like, the way they booked their matches in the event was like, it was properly placed, you know? Like, WrestleMania, like I said, man, it just made me feel like a kid. It was an emotional roller coaster. We're going to talk about it, bro. We're going to talk about it.
All said, everyone here at What Culture, there was at WrestleMania, we all said, you know what? That actually ticked by kind of fast, and controversially, maybe it ticked by a little bit better than the G1 Supercard. You can do with that what you want, but for now, pick your finger, point it to the sky when you're happy, point it down to the floor when you're not. My name is Simon, is What Culture Wrestling. Let's up those downs for WrestleMania 35.
And this intro lit.
We will start with the pre-show and we will go through it as quick as we can because obviously there is a lot to do. Buddy Murphy versus Tony Nese was the first match we saw for the Cruiserweight Championship. And I was surprised anyway that Buddy Murphy lost and Tony Nese won.
I told y'all Tony Nese was going to win. I told y'all. I knew it.
He's your new Cruiserweight champion. What they do with 205 Live, I don't know. But fingers crossed they actually start to shine a spotlight on it. We then had the Women's Battle Royal. It was kind of uneventful. It was there, you know, as people were filtering into the building, I should say. Cruiserweight Championship match gets an up, you can tell. And we don't do this usually when we're doing it live, we just go a bit crazy. All you need to know about the Women's Battle Royal was that Sarah Logan chucked out Asuka, and everyone's a bit like, wait, what are you talking about?
Now, I believe Carmella won the Women's Battle Royal. Now, I said this in my last vid. They done this girl Asuka so wrong. They stripped this girl, well, they didn't strip her, but they might as well stripped her of the title. They took this girl title away from her right before WrestleMania. Then I'm thinking like, okay, cool. They at least gonna give her this Women's Battle Royal win. And then they gave it to Carmella. They gave it to Carmella. Now, I'm not hating on Carmella. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Carmella, yeah. But like, Asuka, you deserve better, bro. Like, hopefully they gonna do something with her with this roster shakeup, or hopefully they turn her heel or something. Give her a mouthpiece. Give her a mouthpiece or something, bro.
That doesn't happen, and clearly it didn't because Carmella, she'd been hanging out outside, she slipped in, she threw it out. I mean, it was all right. I don't want to be too... No. I think the problem was, it started with all the women in the ring. So, you know, you could kind of figure out and kind of make out who was in there. People like Kairi Sane was in there. I'm always a bit like, do we need to put Kairi Sane? She didn't get an entrance. She wasn't announced to the crowd. And then she was just thrown out. But these things are there as a warm-up. But given we have so much to go into, I'm going to give it a down. Just because people would get mad at me. Then we had that random Raw Tag Team match that got announced in the week, which was the Revival versus Hawkins and Ryder. But I will say this, I understand the controversy. I understand that maybe it's not the best position for the Raw Tag Team titles to be in. But apart from one other match which we'll get to, which I'm sure you can figure out if you've seen the show, I didn't pop harder for anything else than when I saw Hawkins beat his losing streak. If you watch Ups and Downs, you know for some reason I'm kind of in love with Kurt.
Like I said, it was emotional. It was an emotional roller coaster. I was so happy for Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins to actually win. And not only win and not only break his streak, but to actually become a champion. Now, hopefully tonight on Raw, they don't lose the titles. Don't do them boys like that. But I'm happy for them, bro.
Hawkins, and I don't know why. He rolled them up. The Revival are no longer your champs from nowhere. So weird. Hawkins and Zack Ryder are. If there wasn't other things on this show, I may even be tempted to give it a special kind of up, but I'm not. It's going to get a normal up. And we finished with the men's battle royal, which again, you already know how this went. It got down to Braun Strowman and Michael Che and Colin Jost, and eventually he just chucked them out. That was it. There was a cool spot with the Hardy Boys, where at one point it looked like maybe the SNL guys were going to win. They didn't. I still can't quite fathom what WWE intend to do with Braun Strowman when it comes to WrestleManias, but I'm going to give it a down. Much for the same reason as the women's one. Now we've got to the end of the night. Is there any...
It's the Andre Memorial Battle Royal. Why is people from SNL in it? This is supposed to be sacred. This is a traditional battle royal. It's supposed to be special. Why is the guys from SNL in it? You know?
Is there anything to take away from it? Is there anything really to talk about? I would argue no. But remember, that doesn't mean that it was bad. It was kind of just there. And sometimes we've got to give things an up, and sometimes we've got to give things an up. That's just how the show works. I've got a friend who's going to talk to me. No, it's not. We'll keep going. So the main card started. It's time to get into something which I know will probably cause a lot of debate in the comments, and that's cool. We're all about opinions here, Ups and Downs. Alexa Bliss came out, the official host of WrestleMania 35, and she said she wanted to create a WrestleMania moment before the show had even begun, and she announced Hulk Hogan. Now, I know that a lot of people in that building enjoyed it. I was there, I heard it, but amazingly, even though I heard, you know, when it comes, it did nothing for me, and I think that's because, and I wasn't alone, I had a chat to a few other people in the crowd to make sure I hadn't gone crazy, and it was just, well, we all know the Hulk Hogan story. I'm all about forgiveness, as I've said before. I don't think it's my place to forgive, given what he said. But it doesn't, for me anyway, I don't necessarily think that means he has to shift back to what he was doing before. And I personally didn't dig it. Just being honest with you, always going to be
Simon Miller. I just gained so much respect for you. You like literally took the words out of my mouth. I have nothing to say. He literally took the words out of my mouth.
That's why it's not just going to get a down, it's going to get a brown down, because, like I say, it was just, it made me feel I was uncomfortable with it. That's
Simon Miller. He took the words out of my mouth. Respect. I gotta hit him with a soul clap, man. Hold on. Shout out to you, bro.
Just be honest with it, I was really, really uncomfortable. What I was not uncomfortable with was that while Real American was still playing, Paul Heyman started to stroll down. And I tell you, if you ever thought to yourself, I'd love to pretend that Paul Heyman was the immortal Hulk Hogan, you could, because the rampway is so long. It was so strange. It was so strange, but it was so funny. And it was such a great idea. It was such a great idea because everyone has been talking about all week what is going to start WrestleMania 35. And Paul Heyman was like, you know what? If Brock Lesnar isn't going to main event, if he's not going to be on last, we're not waiting around. We want to get this done so we can fly out and have a stake. So it was Seth Rollins versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship. Before the bell even rung, Brock Lesnar had whooped Seth Rollins' ass to the point you were thinking, is this going to be one of those matches where WWE swerve us?
F5 on the outside of the mat, bro.
Or is it the case of making out that Seth Rollins is a babyface in peril before he makes his comeback? And that is exactly what it was. The bell rang. At one point, eventually, the referee had been distracted. Seth Rollins, he booted Brock Lesnar in his damn testicles. Sabre won't be happy with that. And after 3 curb stomps, Brock Lesnar lost. He's no longer Universal Champion. Seth Rollins is.
I was surprised how quick the match was, though. That match was a quick match. Especially since it was Brock Lesnar.
The crowd were loving it, as you would, because again, I've always said this, with how long these shows go, you either want to be on first, or I guess you want a main event, because main event WrestleMania still means something. And honestly, the audience went bonkers. You couldn't help, even if you weren't a big Seth Rollins guy, I'm pretty sure you would have popped for this. it was so close to getting the golden up, but again, we know what's coming. But it's damn well going to get it up. Great start to the pay-per-view. And
Of this up, he gets a double up from me.
see, this is what happens. A double up. That's not even a thing, bro. But I appreciate it. And that's what happens when we do ups and downs live. But then we move on to AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. Now, before I get into it, it is going to get an up. It was a fine match, but it was the first match.
You guys are going to start heading out. We're locking up here. You guys got to go out in front.
Okay, man. You can just tell me that. Jeez.
Hey, man. Whoever this guy in the orange, we gonna banish him to the shadow realm, bro. No! You don't interrupt production, bro.
Thanks for watching. What does that even mean? Weird guy. Could have just said. Can you? Anyway,
We banished
We'll
him.
keep going.
He
We'll keep
gone.
walking. We're talking. Just AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. Again, it is going to get an up, but it was. I'm repeating myself, but I feel like I lost my flow. Phil will do some magic editing. He's good at that. I kind of felt like it was the first. It was the first match where. I don't really know what I mean when I say it wasn't WrestleMania worthy, because what does that even mean? All we want to do is see fun, entertaining matches. But you kind of felt like you could have seen it on a random episode of SmackDown. I don't think... I mean, to my own personal taste, maybe I was expecting something more. I mean, if you watch my prediction show, or the prediction show, I should say, and last week's ups and downs, I kind of said that I think that they could steal the show. I really did think that it could. And it was fun and it was great. And AJ Styles got a pretty clean win. There were some teasers for RKO. I think it's a real...
I think this, like I said the same thing in one of my vids. I said that AJ Styles and Randy Orton could have been, you know, a potential show stealer, but at the same time, WrestleMania was 7 hours. So I mean, I feel like their best match is not going to be at WrestleMania. You know, the match where we could get like a 35-minute match with a lot of great spots and a lot of great technical wrestling. I think that's going to come down, you know, later down the road. But for WrestleMania, for it being 7 hours long, just a lot of quick spots here and there and a good finish, bro. So, I mean, it is what it is.
Big win for AJ Styles. And I also think even though he's the babyface and he won their first encounter, you probably could continue the feud if you wanted. And again, it was a laugh. Like it was really entertaining, but there just isn't really much more to say. It was just a very solid, slow, methodical Randy Orton match, which I actually quite like, especially on a show this long, because as you said, they paced it really well. And it was because of stuff like this. I mean, you did have literal ups and downs. That's why I liked it. But the fact that I look over here, magically into the sky, and I'm like, you know, that's it. There's not much else I can say. And maybe it's the problem when you do book so many matches onto a WrestleMania, because some things are always going to get lost in the shuffle, and I think that's one of them. Then Lacey Evans did a damn walk. I thought Lacey Evans would at least do a damn walk in the Women's Battle Royal, which would have given it something, but it didn't. So sorry, Lacey, you get it down, because where's this going to end? And then this ties into the AJ stuff. We had the SmackDown Tag Team title match. Again, getting it up. Really fun, really entertaining, some really good spots. The Usos are absolutely fantastic. Apparently they signed a new deal. I'm all about that. But you probably could have seen it on a random episode of SmackDown. That's not being disparaging.
Yo, me and Simon Miller got a lot in common, bro. We think the same.
SmackDown, but it didn't really stand out. And the Usos won with a double splash. Did I write down who they did it on? I don't think I did. There was some really cool spots in like this. I think the highlight for me, Cesaro was doing his big swing, and as he was doing that, Sheamus was going around doing his big clubs to people on the apron. Honestly, it was. Maybe I'm being a bit too harsh. It did have a lot of interesting and unique elements to it, and I did laugh my way throughout it. You know, I've been a bit harsh on that one now I think about it, but it didn't blow my mind like maybe I thought. But yeah, Usos retained, and I'm all right with that. I tell you, man, the Usos continue to just build their stock as one of the best tag teams there is. Had the Hall of Fame ceremony.
I said that. I said the Usos is one of the best tag teams in the world. Somebody disagreed with me and said the Usos? Yes, the Usos. All around the board. They are one of the best tag teams in the world. To me. Easy. Easy.
You know, or the you know, when people come out and say hello, that's all fine and good. And then, I tell you, we had The Miz and Shane McMahon in a Falls Count Anywhere match. I thought it was damn entertaining. And obviously, it presented this weird... I'm going to use it. Not juxtaposition, but you had this weird thing where obviously Shane McMahon is the guy that always wants to take risks, and he was taking on The Miz, the guy that never takes risks, and they were just battling all over the place. And honestly, The Miz took most of the match. The Miz kind of whooped Shane McMahon's ass. At one point, Shane McMahon attacked The Miz's dad again, and that kind of set The Miz off. And we'll just talk about the finish, because My word, I understand there's padding and stuff there, but if you saw it, you know it's still terrifying. They climbed up to some scaffolding, and the Miz suplexed Shane McMahon, and they fell a good way. And again, you could see that the necessary precautions have been taken, but that was a bump and a half. And everybody reacted, everybody went crazy for it. So it's an up for the Miz and Shane McMahon. I tell you, given the story they had, given the build, given the consistency, and the Shane McMahon, they did the suplex, and what happened is they fell into the pre-planned area, and because they were both knocked out, can you believe it, one of Shane's hands just happened to fold over the Miz, and so he didn't get the win. It was just kind of by happenstance. But I tell you, the whole thing, I think, it's worked better than a lot of people to give it credit for, and it was one of my most... It really was. It was a really, really good. It was a really, really good match overall. Segued into the Raw.
I hate that Shane McMahon won. I mean, you know, he didn't need the win. All I said was this match, they need to make it so the Miz, you know, is rising to become a world champion. The Miz deserves a world title. He deserves it, man. He's been putting in work. And it's like, I'm glad to see that everybody that's been actually putting in that good amount of work are actually becoming champion. You know what I'm saying? Kofi Kingston became champion. Seth Rollins is at the top of the mountain now. You know, Becky Lynch, she doing her thing. Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins. Finn Balor, they let him become the Demon King. You know what I'm saying? But the Miz losing to Shane McMahon, why? I don't get it, man.
Or women's tag, or I just say the women's tag team titles. I mean, obviously, it was cool. Bret Hart came out with Natalya and Beth Phoenix, and obviously we had Bayley and Sasha Banks, and we had Nia Jax and Tamina, and we had the Iconics.
I told y'all that Iconics is gonna win. I told y'all, man, they deserved it. They was bred. Listen, man, they came into the game for this moment, man. They've been together since the beginning. They day ones. And they deserve this moment, bro. Like, they really do. And like I said, the women's tag team division, they need legit tag teams. And the Iconics are a legit tag team. Love them or hate them, they're a legit tag team. And, you know, I'm so happy for them that they actually got their moment at WrestleMania. That's pretty dope.
I'm going to give it... Do I give it a down? I don't know. Do I give it a down? Phil, you could... Do I get up or down, Phil? I don't know what to do with it.
Give him a up.
No, it's not your show, but it's a hard one because, look, the Iconics won, basically. And I think we all, the What Culture team, enjoyed it more than we probably should have done, because it's funny to see the Iconics win because nobody expected it. And honestly, there was a group of people 2 rows in front of us who were devastated that the Iconics won. But that made it all the more entertaining. But I don't think it necessarily... If we grade things on a curve, which is what we do, I'd probably have to give it a down. Like it,
what?
A lot of people checked out at that point. I think a lot of people realized we're going to go long. Obviously, there's been rumors. I think people were excited to see the Iconics win because nobody expected it. I don't think, other than you and I having the conversation now, it's going to be chatted about it for a long time. It is going to get it down, but don't even worry about that, because now we segue into what is not only the best match, or at least the best experience at WrestleMania 35, but in terms of me going to live events, one of the happiest things I've ever been a part of, and it was Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan. It's going to get the golden up. We don't really do much of the hyperbole when we've done live shows, so I'm both pumped and exhausted, as you know. But it was, please go and watch it. Even if you don't want to watch WrestleMania 35, if you are a long-term fan of wrestling, please go and watch Kofi Kingston win the WWE Championship. For one, Daniel Bryan plays his role perfectly. He was playing up to the old yes chants. He did a
look when that match was happening. I can't remember the last time I was so emotionally invested in a match to the point I'm like, just get in the ring, hurry up, give him a cover. Like, come on. Like, I was so emotional during that match, man. You can do it. And I'm glad that Kofi Kingston got this win, man. Like, I seriously felt like a kid watching him win this WWE Championship, bro. He deserved it, man. And I hope they give him a lengthy title reign. You know, like, it's not just 3 months and then he's done, but actually give him a long title reign and allow him to make his mark, leave his mark with the title. You know what I'm saying? Leave his legacy with the WWE Championship, man. That was an emotional roller coaster, bro. I was so happy. Like, I could not stop smiling. Shout out to Kofi Kingston, bro.
The bell lock at one point that was so slow and methodical, like, I know what I'm doing. He looked like a devil possessed, and he did it. He knew exactly what he was doing. He couldn't have made Kofi Kingston, you know, more of a babyface, and Kofi Kingston is already the quintessential babyface. Oh, man, and when Kofi Kingston hit the Trouble in Paradise and got the 1, 2, 3, no shenanigans, nice and clean, and he celebrated.
Simon should have hit dude with a Stone Cold Stunner, bro.
With the New Day, and he got his kids in the ring, and you could feel the outpouring of love. The only thing I could think to myself is I wanted to stand up and shout, "Justice, justice!" after everything he had to be through. It was wonderful. You talk about WrestleMania moments, right? That to me is a WrestleMania moment. Kofi Kingston deserves it. I know it's a weird term in wrestling because it's story based, but he just does. The look on his face, Big E and Xavier Woods, you could tell, were just over the moon. And everything Xavier Woods said a few years ago when he said, "My goal in pro wrestling is to make sure Kofi Kingston becomes WWE champion." You did it. You all did it. You're all part of it. It's a movement, I tell you, which is ironic given that Daniel Bryan's involved. I absolutely loved it. I could have shed a tear. It was just such a. You don't always have to swerve for the sake of swerving. It's okay to give people what they expect because it's obvious, but that's why they want it. They just want the payoff so they can get that emotional rush. It was so satisfying. Excellent. And a shout out to Daniel Bryan again. Just brilliant. We then had a backstage skit with Alexa and the SNL guys. Kevin Nash and Scott Hall turned up. They were doctors, and Kevin Nash was well.
It was so weird. That backstage segment was so weird.
Exciting about sticking his hand up somebody's ass on a 7.5-hour show. Down.
For real.
Yeah, exactly. You boo Kevin Nash and Scott. What was that about? Why you boo me? No, I'm saying that I don't need it. Hi, Adam Cleary. I'm saying no. Well, I mean it is, but also it was on a 7.5-hour show. I don't need that.
Well, yeah, we're different people. We're different.
Thanks. Adam Cleary makes a cabinet to remind us.
Iconics are down as well.
No, I explained that. Don't you come at me about them. Now, I can't give up 2 golden ups because that's not give out 2 golden ups. That's not fair. But I tell you this, I damn well would for Samoa Joe versus Rey Mysterio and get a normal up. Can we make it? Feels good at this. Make it a Samoa Joe up, whatever that is. Actually, give him the Oscar up. Give Samoa Joe the Oscar up. Go and watch the last SmackDown episode if you haven't seen that. So Rey Mysterio has an ankle injury. I understand that, but sometimes you have to look at things in the context in which they're presented to you. Samoa Joe, he walked to the ring, and within a minute, Rey Mysterio made one mistake, and Samoa Joe choked him out. And he took his belt and he walked back like.
Listen, what did I tell y'all about Samoa Joe in the United States Championship? When Samoa Joe is done being United States champion, he is going to use that title as a stepping stone to become a world champion. I'm telling y'all, Samoa Joe has it. So the people to look out for are Samoa Joe and Drew McIntyre. And to be honest, well, I want to say Bobby Lashley. It was something about Bobby Lashley last night that looked different. Even though he lost, it was something about him that just looked legit. But Drew McIntyre and Samoa Joe, those are 2 people to definitely look out for, bro. I feel bad for Kevin Owens that he was left off the show, but it is what it is, man.
No big thing, man. I'm Samoa Joe. Every week on this show, I say I want Samoa Joe to be treated like a killer because he looks like a killer, he talks like a killer, he acts like a killer, and that's what I got, injury or not. It sucks for Rey Mysterio. That must be the worst feeling in the world where, you know, you can't go out there and perform, especially on a stage like that. And if you haven't seen the stage, you should. It's incredible. But it helps. It helps Samoa Joe. And I think it helps the United States Championship. I think if we can somehow use this to our benefit, even though it's coming from a negative place, we got money in this. We got money with the Samoa Joe and the US Championship, I tell you. Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre was interesting. It all comes down to the fact I watched this show live, and it was ruined for me personally by a group of idiots. And I will say that if you were sitting in 304, row 18, you're a bunch of assholes because they booed Roman Reigns mercilessly, said he's Vince McMahon's boy and he can't wrestle, and all the boring stuff that I've heard over the last few years. And I'm not saying there wasn't a time to bring it up and have the debate and criticize it. There was, but the way they were doing it, it did. And everyone around me was like, what are these people doing? And I think the whole point of it was just to have, I think everyone forgot it was Roman Reigns' first single match. from everything that he's been through. I think they should have kept it simple. They did. It did suck that Drew McIntyre had to lose, but at least we built him up to a point that I don't think he's going to be hugely hurt.
Yeah, like this loss that he's had, it's not going to phase him. Like I said this in previous vids. Like they built him up so well to the point where this is not going to hurt him. You know, and Roman Reigns, he needed this win, you know, to kind of avenge all the beatdowns that Dean Ambrose had, that he's received from Drew McIntyre. And I feel like this feud is going to go post WrestleMania, and it's going to balance them out, you know?
On Raw tomorrow night. It was weird that Roman just beat him in one spear, but there's more here than just a wrestling match. It's about a man's, not redemption, but a man's comeback from something that was very real. I would never give this anything but an up, even though I'll admit, a bit slow-paced, not massively exciting, and maybe at this point the crowd were a bit dead. But seeing Roman afterwards and how clearly emotional he was, some things are more important, and that's as simple as that. We then got to another great, and if anything, if I sounded negative, I'm just trying to go through each segment by segment, talking about the show as a whole. I think it was so well done, so well put together, because we got to Elias after that. Elias comes out, he's got versions of himself on the video screen playing drums and piano, so he does his gig, and they're all playing at once, and just.
Bro, when John Cena came out, I lost it. I lost it, bro. That was so good. I did not expect that, and it was so good. Like, John Cena did not lose a fucking step. It's like he never even it's like he never even stopped becoming the character. I just need, like, Cena, bro, I just need you to come back and be the Doctor of Thugonomics for, like, just give me 4 months, 3 tops, being a Doctor of Thugonomics, bro. It was so good, man. It was like that classic Cena, that classic, not even the running 5-knuckle shuffle, but just the 5-knuckle shuffle, you know, the pumping up the sneakers, the roasting of the wrestler. Man, it was just so good, man. It was so good.
He's about to play more songs. Thugonomics version of John Cena arrives. It's going to get an up. He did all his old shtick. He made some great lines about FUs and dogs. I'm trying to keep it. He said he was going to.
He even embraced his nickname as being the Golden Shovel. I love that shit, man. I love that shit, bro.
Turn heel. I'm trying to keep it as vague as possible because I want people to go out and watch it. I'll tell you this. If John Cena had stayed the Doctor of Thugonomics forever, he never would have been booed. His lines were funny. They were insightful. They had insider terms. They popped the crowd. They did everything that he used to do, and it was like he never stopped doing it. And while he did have a bit of a mixed reaction, I tell you, by the end, people were chanting his name. They were desperate to see more. He was fantastic. He then gave Elias an FU. He walked out. I think this is just Elias' role now, but when it's that entertaining, I don't care. I will say that John Cena interrupted. Like, when Elias was doing his talking, a video of Babe Ruth played. I don't have the context for that. I was in the arena. We're in New York with the Yankees, and John Cena came at the Yankees top, and I guess people say that John Cena is the Babe Ruth of WWE, or at least he was for a time. You tell me. It was weird. Some guy behind me was going, it's Bray Wyatt. Definitely Bray. I was like, it could be. It was not. Batista versus Triple H. I think this played better on TV, given the stuff that I've read, than it did live in the arena. But it was just two veterans kicking the absolute crap out of each other. I mean, it was slow-paced. It was the traditional Triple H match you'd expect in the modern day. But there were sledgehammers, tables, stairs. They didn't hold anything back. At one point, Triple H ripped Batista's nose ring out with a pair of scissors. He used pliers on his hands. He got a steel chain and choked him out. Don't forget, Daniel Bryan got fired from that a few years ago for a tie. He's doing it with a steel chain. I think it was decent. I just don't think it played well to the entire audience. So I'm going to give it an up because I'm convinced when I watch it back, I'm going to enjoy it. I just think it was one of those.
Watching that match, you know what I'm saying? It was all right. You know what I'm saying? It was a really slow-paced match. But, I mean, what could you really expect? Like, what did you really expect? It wasn't going to be a fast-paced. It wasn't going to be like, you know, they all over the place. You know, it was just going to be a pretty much normal big spots on the table or sledgehammer, chair shots. Just normal, slow-paced, and leave it at that. You know, I'm glad that Triple H won, though, for one, because I told y'all earlier I want to see Triple H versus AJ Styles. I need that match to happen. So, it wasn't bad. It was all right. It was decent.
Those moments where the crowd were dead. And that is something you can't watch anything for 7.5 hours. At one point, your brain going, calm down for a bit. And if you're excited about the main event, which loads of people were, it is going to affect you. Alexa Bliss backstage segment with the B team pimping merchandise, and then Ron Simmons walks into screen and says, "Damn, not on a 7.5 hour show, WWE. Cut it." That's right. We had a bunch of guest commentators as well. We had JBL, HBK, and Paige throughout the night. Obviously, again, show runs that long, you got to change it. It was a nice touch. Baron Corbin versus Kurt Angle, I'm also going to give an up to. It was a short match, nothing to write home about. I don't even think you have to go out of your way to watch it. But I kind of realised when all was said and done, this is good. Kurt Angle's not the Kurt Angle of old. It's probably best this was his farewell match. The focus was entirely on him. But if WWE books this right and allows Baron Corbin to talk about this much in the same way The Undertaker, well, Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman did about The Undertaker, where they beat the streak, I think it helps Baron Corbin no end. Again, basic. Beats him with the End of Days. After Angle had missed a moonsault on that moonsault, oh my gosh, he almost landed on his neck. I almost had an aneurysm. We're doing Kurt Angle, you're brilliant, but don't do that. Is that where we are? I thought it was flipping Bash at the Beach. Good grief. Oh well, what do we do? And I lost my train of thought. Of course then. It was fine. It was fine. Kurt Angle into retirement. Let's remember Kurt Angle as one of the best of all time. That's going to get it up. Finn Balor versus Bobby Lashley. Pretty standard stuff. Demon comes out, cool entrance, finally seeing it at WrestleMania.
Did y'all see Bobby Lashley had contacts in his eyes? I was like, that's weird. But like I said, I'm glad that they allowed Finn Balor to be the Demon King again. And, you know, he got his moment at WrestleMania. He's a 2-time Intercontinental Champion. Good job, WWE, being consistent with Finn Balor. As far as Bobby Lashley, like I said, even though he lost, there's something about Bobby Lashley that just looks more legit. Like, I don't know what it is, but he had that look of like a future world champ. I don't know. But like, I got my eyes on Bobby Lashley for this roster shakeup just to see where he go, man. See what they do with him.
Bobby Lashley did the Biggie spear through the ropes you must have seen. And then eventually Finn Balor. Oh my God, it's all going crazy. Finn Balor gets the coup de grace. He's the new IC champion. I give it an up because people wanted to see the Demon and they got it, but I got to give it a down because when we actually go through the story, we took it off him to put it back on him.
It's weird.
All right.
Makes no sense.
And that brought us to our main event. Give it up to Joan Jett. I think Joan Jett is 60 and she still is incredible. I think that's the best entrance, and I like the Motorhead one that Triple H had, but I think that's the best entrance that we've ever done for a wrestler in WWE on these big stages. I'm sure you'll flood the comments now. But she was great. She's just a real talent. As for the match itself, obviously Becky Lynch did win, so that'll get an up to. We got what we wanted. Becky Lynch is now the Raw and SmackDown Women's Champion.
Who did y'all want to win, man? Did y'all want Becky Lynch to win? I wanted Ronda to win. And the finish, it kind of made me believe that Ronda not gonna leave. You know? I hope she don't leave, bro. But that finish was just,
She was so over with the crowd. Charlotte Flair had this amazing bit at the start where she came in via helicopter, although it kind of made no sense because she was in her gear. So I think I'm meant to believe she got into her gear, flew away from the arena, then turned around and flew back. So I was chuckling. The match did suffer from it was a bit disjointed, and I don't know why. That mainly does come down to the finish. It came out of nowhere. Ronda Rousey went for Piper's Pit, and Becky transitioned to a backslide, basically, or like I know the name and I can't remember. It was a side pin. And I think it's meant to be, I don't know this for sure. I've literally just watched it, and I need to go get context from other people and other opinions. But I think we're meant to think that Ronda Rousey kicked out just before 3. Now, I'm cool with that to a certain extent, because even when we get outside of WrestleMania, the other side of WrestleMania, we need to have some kind of a story. However, it's like Sting Hogan back in the WCW days. Everyone just wanted Sting to win. And then we had a bunch of fracas. Now, it wasn't that bad because it was more subtle. But it does turn out Ronda Rousey's going to come out and say, oh, she didn't actually pin me. Like I said, there was a slight delay in Becky Lynch winning and the crowd reacting because it didn't really translate that well to the live audience. And that was a shame. Because I think right now what we should be talking about, oh, amazing, WrestleMania 35. First ever women's main event. Becky Lynch went in there. She smashed it. But we're not. The big conversation was that meant to happen? Did it feel a bit out of nowhere? Love the fact Becky won, thank goodness. But, yeah. So I don't know. It feels like WWE was trying to protect Ronda a little bit. I'm speculating. I'm not going to give anything here a down. Look, Becky, the greatest...
I'm just surprised because I honestly thought they was gonna have Charlotte Flair take the pin or have Charlotte Flair submit. So it kind of blew my mind that Ronda Rousey was kind of in that position, you know?
The thing about WrestleMania 35 was Seth did it, Kofi did it, Becky did it, and everyone said WWE won't do that, it has to be 2 out of 3. Well, it wasn't. We went back to WrestleMania 35 being a feel-good show, and really the only reason it wasn't in the past sort of 3-4 years was Roman was meant to be the feel-good guy, but he wasn't for all the reasons that we've discussed. We'll end it there. We'll bring it to a close. I've ranted far too long. I did think it was a really...
Woo! But like I said, man, all in all, WrestleMania 35, to me, it was a legit show. It was an emotional roller coaster. It actually made me feel like a kid. Like I was actually emotionally invested into the show. And I had a good time watching it, man. I was watching it with a smile on my face, bro. Like, honestly, you know, and I can't wait to see what happens on Raw and SmackDown with these upcoming storylines, you know, especially with this roster shakeup coming, coming up, because there's so many things that you can do to start fresh now, you know, and just WWE, just keep it unpredictable and you be good, man. Just stay unpredictable, you know, let Seth Rollins do his thing, let Kofi Kingston be Kofi Kingston with the New Day, you know, this whole Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch thing. Hopefully this plays out well. Hopefully this means Ronda is staying. You know, I don't know, but if I had to give WrestleMania a grade, I would honestly give it a B+. You know, I would give it a B+. It was a good show. It was a good show, man. But let me know what you think about this video in the comments down below. If you're new here, welcome to the pack. If not, you already know what it is, bro. It's your boy, Preston. As always, let me keep the faith. Until next time. Peace.
Against all odds, hoping my true motherfuckers know this be the realest shit I ever wrote. Against all odds, up in the studio, getting blowed. The truest shit I ever